welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works for today, Friday, October 18th, 2019.
Commissioner Villegas, Garcia, James, Davis, and Caloza are present. President James, you do have a quorum. May we start with Bureau introductions, please, starting with Bureau of Engineering.
Good morning, Eddie Ohanian, Bureau of Engineering.
Good morning, Ruben Flamenco, Bureau of Street Lighting.
Dan Myers, Bureau of Sanitation.
Good morning, Abram Tejeda with Bureau of Street Services, Streets LA.
Roosevelt Bagby, Bureau of Contract Administration.
Good morning, Ted Jordan, Public Works General Counsel.
Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. President James, we did not receive any speaker cards under general public comment. We have no commentary under the Neighborhood Council comment section. We did receive speaker cards on items number 1 and 3. In addition to that, item number 3, we received an email that has been distributed to all commissioners.
Okay. Let's close general public comment as well as the Neighborhood Council category of commentary. And I've got, let's take care of the housekeeping item on agenda item number 1. We've got a requested withdrawal on number 1. Mr. Jordan, and the withdrawal is coming from the Bureau of Engineering. Actually, let me just call number 1 so everyone knows what we're talking about, because I've got some speaker cards on it, and even though it's being withdrawn, people have come to City Hall. I may want to give them the opportunity to just be heard to a limited degree on it, even though I think they've had some success. But agenda item number 1, Council District 14, above ground facilities variance, 406 South Breed Street, recommending that the board approve the request for a variance from the height requirement of the above ground facilities ordinance pursuant to Los Angeles Municipal Code section 6208VB for the monopole, and secondly, authorize mobility to install a 46-foot high wood monopole in the public right-of-way adjacent to 406 South Breed Street. This has been continued a couple of times. We had a couple of hearings on it, and at the end of the day, there's been a withdrawal. Whether the withdrawal officially is coming from the Bureau of Engineering, but if the applicant were pushing it, BOE would not be withdrawing it. Even though, Mr. Jordan, can I take some speaker cards on this even though it's been withdrawn?
Yeah, we can take the public comment, and then once you've heard the public comment, the item, you can then withdraw it at that point.
Okay. I'll tell you what, since we've already had public hearing on this item fairly extensively on more than one occasion, I would be inclined to limit our public hearing today since it's going to be withdrawn anyway. But folks made their way to City Hall today, so if you would like to speak, I'll call your name, and you can speak on the item, but I would limit it to, well, let's just go ahead and leave it the same. We've got a 2-minute limitation on folks. That's our standard time for the public to speak. I'm not going to limit that. But if you want to be heard on the item, you're welcome to. The first person I've got is Hortensia Tamayo. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioner and Board, and to everyone this morning. My name is Hortensia Tamayo. I'm a resident of Boyle Heights, and I've been a resident for over 47 years. And I appreciate the fact that this item is being withdrawn. And everyone in this room, I hope, is listening, because this is not something that anyone, if they are exposed to this level of radiation, will be immune to. This will affect everyone on every street in every city. This is 24-hour radiation, 400 times more than what we have right now. And if a woman only has a breast exam twice a year at best to limit and cover portions that do not need to be exposed, or any other person getting an x-ray, everything vital is covered, and it's a minimum of twice a year, or maximum rather, why would we want that? This is not something. Why would we want to be exposed to this 24/7, every single day? And there are no coverage insurance-wise to protect any entity, any investor, any lawyer, or any developer from the lawsuits that will come from the cancer and the DNA breakage, the disabilities, the loss of pregnancy. I mean, this is going to affect all of your families. So I hope all of you will be able to sleep, because the people that want this, I don't understand how they can. And we're fighting for the children. We're fighting for our community. And I went, and nobody from the Salesian Boys and Girls Club, Breed Street Elementary, or St. Mary's, where this pole would be put up, knows about this development. And there are hundreds of kids that are there every single day, 5 days a week, including on weekends. So I pray that all of you will fight for your own communities, because it isn't just us, it's everywhere, all over the world. And I thank you.
Thank you. Jose Pelico?
Hi, good morning. My name is Jose Orozco Pelico. I'm the current Vice President for the Ball Heights Neighborhood Council. I just want to go ahead and put it on record. I know the item's being withdrawn, but at the request of the President and of the Board as well, we did invite the representative from Mobilite to our pluck meeting that was scheduled for 9/12, and also to our General Board meeting that was scheduled for 9/25. I did send her an email and a follow-up call with a voicemail, didn't receive a call back and or an email back. So we did make an attempt to reach out and put them on our agenda, which we did, and extend the courtesy to attend our meeting with a no-show. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And I have Brenda Martinez.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, committee. Thank you so much for your time. My name is Brenda Martinez. I represent Boyle Heights residents, but I'm also part of the Neighborhood Council Board member, and I'm also in the Committee of Environmental. I also lead the group of Boyle Heights residents and farmers against 5G. I know that I've spoke with you guys in the past, and we'll give you a little bit of our history. But today I just want to thank the fact that they withdraw. But I also want to bring to your attention the fact that this is it's a big issue, especially in our community, in Boyle Heights. I unfortunately cannot speak for every community, although we've been in contact with many other communities who are rising up and speaking up against this as well. But just the fact that FCC has not updated their regulations and their laws for 23 years, and we have 3G, 4G, 5G, and all of this keeps growing, but none of the regulations change. The technology change, but the regulations don't. So with new technology, there's new chances, new hazards, new things, not just more speed. So we need to really focus on this. This is a really big issue. It's not just I want to see my movie downloaded in 3 seconds, but my community is full of antennas that are not regulated, and that we don't even know the radiation. We cannot even make sure how much radiation each antenna spreads to the schools, to the communities, to the homes, to the gardens. So I would really, really appreciate if you guys take that time, this moment now, to really think about this. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Have a great day.
Thank you, ma'am. So those are all the speaker cards we have on number one. So we have the request for withdrawal. So agenda item number one will be withdrawn. We've got a couple of authorities for expenditure this morning. AFE, Council Districts 1 and 13, Mountains Recreation and Conservation Authority, Engineering, and the Office of Accounting are requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $50,000 to compensate the Mountains Recreation and Conservation Authority for the Los Angeles River Outreach and Education Program for the next fiscal year 2019-20. Ms. Lau, I think this is about the amount we spend each fiscal or so, isn't it?
Good morning, Shirley Lau with the Bureau of Engineering. Actually, this is the first time the Bureau of Engineering is supporting this program. Typically, I believe in the past it was from Bureau of Sanitation.
Sanitation, right, but
Correct.
I think the amount is consistent.
Correct. It
Got
was, there's 2 recreation zones, and sanitation gives $50,000 for each.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so so just a little bit background. Bureau of Engineering, we've been on the forefront of river revitalization and development, and in recent years, we're actually implementing a lot of the bridge projects along the LA River, and with that, often we do impact areas of the LA River. And so specifically for this item, we are building the bridge at Taylor Yard, the Taylor Bike and Pedestrian Bridge, and so we have impacts to the Elysian Valley Recreation Zone. And so this, with that, the Bureau desires to kind of inform the public about these new projects along the LA River, and also we would like to support MRCA, the Mountains Recreation and Conservation Authority, in their efforts to educate the public on preservation and revitalization of the LA River. So I have Sarah Rascon from the MRCA. She's present, and we've been working together on how this funding could support their current efforts. And also, some of the ideas that came forward is for some programs to, I guess, go to the river. We invite children from various schools in the area. We'll disseminate the information, talk about kayaking, which is typically some of the activities that go on in the rec zone. Other ideas from the community would be to, I guess, put together little instruments using reeds from the LA River. And we've also had, I guess, possibly free kayaking lessons in order to promote the future kayaking in the LA River. So with that, that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions on this item.
Any questions at all on number 5? I don't have any questions, so I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 5, seconded by Commissioners Caloza and Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 5. Thank you, Ms. Lau.
Thank you.
The other authority for expenditure this morning is in Council District 14. CSLM Construction, Engineering, and Accounting are requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $29,850 to compensate CSLM Construction Incorporated for the services associated with transportation of trailers from Mod Space in Fontana to 850 North Mission Road, the Bureau of Street Services yard. Mr. Drucker on number 6.
Good morning, Commissioners. Happy Friday. Neil Drucker, Bureau of Engineering. As President James indicated, the AFE, Authority for Expenditure, in front of you is for $29,000 plus dollars. The funds were used to transport 10 trailers from a storage site to the Bureau of Street Services yard at 850 North Mission, just north here of downtown Los Angeles. The trailers were originally purchased for a project and ultimately did not get used. They were purchased for about $350,000 at the time. They've been in storage for close to 5 years at the modular space site. We were informed about a year ago that the site was going to be closed down and the trailers had to be moved. This was the most expeditious way to move them. They are actually 10 individual trailers that were going to be used for construction offices and ultimately did not get used for that purpose. So the idea was to bring them to the street services yard and allow it to be used as offices and storage and other purposes at that yard. Actually, the intent now is to potentially use 7 of the 10 trailers and to relocate 3 trailers to another site in the future. We're currently looking at the trailers and bringing a company to do mold testing, lead paint, and other testing of the trailers because they've basically been shrink wrapped for about the last 5 years in plastic, and we want to make sure that the trailers are still inhabitable and usable. We're not 100% sure that this is going to work out. It's possible that we will ultimately find that the cost of rehabbing the trailers is excessive, but we'll know that within the next few months and obviously come back to this board before we move any further on actually turning the trailers into offices.
So then we'll have some sort of determination about whether we can repurpose them or not.
That's correct at that time.
Okay.
And we would have to work with the city attorney based on the original funding of the trailers to make sure we can actually relocate them or use them for another purpose at that time.
Okay, and I would also note that a more itemized invoice for the price of the services is attached as well. Commissioner Davis.
Certainly, health and safety is critically important, but I was just wondering if these trailers might have been a possible place where we could transfer them over to the homeless folk.
And that's actually something that we've talked about, and that's, as I said, that would be a potential possibility or a very strong possibility, but we have to work with the city attorney based on the funding source to make sure that's actually possible or could they be sold for a reduced price based on the current value of the modulars for homeless or other equivalent type uses? Yes. Now, Commissioner Davis, I think that's really a good point.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Anything further? I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 6, seconded by Commissioners Garcia and Davis. Thank you, Mr. Drucker. Any objection? With that objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 6. Any issue sending 6 forthwith? We will send number 6 forthwith. Have a nice weekend, Mr. Drucker. Agenda item number 4 is a street closure in Council District 4, Metro West Side Purple Line Extension Project, Section 1, Orange Grove Avenue between Wilshire Boulevard and 8th Street. Recommending that the board, and I've got some findings here, so it'll take me a moment to read through them to be on the oral record. Mr. Hsu, you're welcome to stand or sit, whatever you'd prefer. Or you can even walk back and forth back there if you'd like. Recommending that the board first find that the board has reviewed and considered the information in the project draft environmental impact statement, environmental impact report, we'll call that the EIR, that's transmittal number 1, and the project final EIR, transmittal number 2. Secondly, find under the California Public Resources Code, Section 21166, and the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA Guidelines, Section 15162, on the basis of substantial evidence contained in the whole record that since certification of the EIR, there have been no changes with respect to the circumstances under which the temporary street closure being undertaken would require a subsequent EIR or supplemental EIR. Third, adopt the March 2012 Mitigation Monitoring and Reporting Program, Appendix 1 of the final EIR, prepared by the Los Angeles County Metropolitan Transit Authority as it pertains to construction impacts. Number 4, find under CEQA Guidelines Section 15091, the changes have been incorporated into the project, which substantially lessen the significant environmental effects as identified in the EIR. Further, find that there is no feasible alternative or additional feasible mitigation measures within the board's powers that would substantially lessen any significant effect the project would have on the environment. Number 5, adopt the attached CEQA guideline findings of fact and statement of overriding considerations, that's transmittal number 3, as it pertains to the temporary street closure, and find that the economic, social, technological, and other benefits of the project outweigh its significant and unavoidable impacts. Number 6, adopt the West Side Purple Line Extension Section 1 Post Notice of Determination, full closure of a portion of South Orange Grove Avenue for 8 months, dated October 4th, 2019, that's transmittal number 4. Number 7, specify that the Metro Transit Division of the Bureau of Engineering, located at 1149 South Broadway, in Los Angeles, and the board, located here in City Hall at 200 North Spring Street, and other relevant City of Los Angeles departments are custodians of the documents or other material which constitute the record of the proceedings upon which the board's decision is based. And number 8, approve the requested temporary closure of Orange Grove Avenue between Wilshire Boulevard and 8th Street for 8 consecutive months, starting Friday, October 18, 2019, that's today at 3 p.m. You're here just in time, Mr. Hsu. And ending Thursday, June 18, 2020 at 6 a.m., subject to the conditions identified within the report. And Larry, you know my first question is always going to be, and you can cover this in your presentation, does engineering have everything they need from your partner agencies and departments going forward on this?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you for reading that. Good morning. I'm Larry Hsu from the Bureau of Engineering, Metro Transit Division. The report before you is a street closure request in support of the Metro West Side Purple Line Extension Section 1 project, also known as the Purple Line 1 project. The Purple Line 1 project extends the Purple Line from the Purple Line subway from the existing terminus at Wilshire Western to the west, 3.92 miles along Wilshire Boulevard, and includes 3 new stations at La Brea, Fairfax, and La Cienega, which is in Beverly Hills. Metro and its contractor, Skanska Trailer Shea joint venture, are requesting a full street closure on Orange Grove Avenue between Wilshire Boulevard and 8th Street for 8 months, starting this afternoon, October 18th, and ending June 18, 2020. Per the request letter from STS, this closure is needed to facilitate the excavation for the Wilshire Fairfax Station entrance. The space on the closed section of Orange Grove is needed for material delivery, storage, and excavation spoils removal, and to create a wide radius for the use of a crane on their work site. The closed section of Orange Grove is adjacent to the Peterson Automotive Museum, and access to the museum's parking structure has been coordinated. And also, the southern portion of Orange Grove is residential, and all those residents also have access to their to Orange Grove via the south on 8th Street. DOT has reviewed and approved the worksite traffic control plan for the proposed closure. Additionally, we have been coordinating with the Traffic Management Committee to minimize any conflict with adjacent permit holders and ongoing construction activities in the vicinity of the closure. Seeker clearance has been obtained. Additionally, the major BOE design approvals have been obtained for this closure. Council District 4 has indicated their support of the requested street closure, and Metro Public Relations team has also performed outreach for this closure. Lastly, we have staff from BOE, DOT, Metro, and STS to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Larry. I would just mention that Orange Grove over there is not an arterial street necessarily, but
it's a local street.
It's a local street, and there are, but it's close to a lot of arterial activity. Wilshire Boulevard, the museum area, and I really just wanted to confirm and put an exclamation point on the oral record that, and I know the council office is supportive. I know the neighborhood councils have been involved. But I just wanted to emphasize that sufficient outreach has been done regarding the traffic management plan and the alternatives of access to the area for the residents and the adjacent property owners, such that we didn't get any opposition here today. And there has been some significant work leading up to today's hearing, even though this is the last day to have the hearing before the requested start of the closure.
I understand that has been done, but it's better to let the Metro Construction Relations team answer that question, because I don't know specifically what has been done.
They can spend a couple of minutes doing that.
Mr. President, Commissions.
Good morning, sir.
Although there's a number of stakeholders.
And can we just get your name for the title for the record?
Ned Racine. I'm the Principal Construction Relations Officer for Section 1, including the Fairfax Station.
Great.
Although there's a number of stakeholders there, we thought the primary stakeholder was the Peterson. Scott Donahue, who is the outreach coordinator with our design builder, and I met with Peterson on August 13th. Told them about the upcoming closure and asked them what we could do for mitigation. They identified two things. One was to ask the design builder to use flaggers to have the trucks dropping off vehicles back out of Orange Grove. The design builder has been doing that. The second thing they asked was to use a part of 8th Street between Orange Grove and the Peterson parking structure, convert it to a gray zone so the school buses can offload there, so the students would be able to walk through the parking structure. They felt that that was safer. I believe the curb has been painted gray already, which meets the second requirement for the Peterson. We've sent them updates continually. We've had multiple phone conversations with them and emails. The construction notice, the final construction notice was sent to them yesterday, and day before yesterday, Walking Man distributed the final construction notice within a quarter mile of Orange Grove to let other stakeholders know that this was happening.
Great, thank you, sir. Any further questions? Then I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 4, seconded by Commissioners Davis and Caloza. Thank you, Mr. Hsu.
Thank you.
Have a nice weekend, everyone. Thank you, folks from Metro, for being here as well. Any objection to number 4? No objection on number 4. Any issue sending it forthwith? We'll send number 4 forthwith. Agenda item number 2, Council Districts 1 and 14. It's a final closeout change order number 35, Colich and Sons LP, secondary sewer difficult access reaches, Northeast Los Angeles, Eagle Rock, Boyle Heights, Los Feliz project. Recommending that the board authorize the city engineer to issue deductive final closeout change order number 35 to Colich and Sons LP for a deductive amount of $634,897.76. For the secondary sewer difficult to reach, that's our DAR, difficult access to reach, Northeast Los Angeles, Eagle Rock, Boyle Heights, Los Feliz project to reconcile unused bid items and to compensate Colich and Sons LP for performing extra work due to unforeseen conditions. And Mr. Ahmed, you'll tell us what's going on number 2.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Iftikhar Ahmed. I'm from Bureau of Engineering at Wastewater Conveyance Construction Division. The report before you is for your authorization to issue final closeout change order for DAR 4 projects. DAR stands for difficult access reach. These are the reaches very difficult. Some of them are on the hillside or in people's private properties, so the access is always very difficult. Project construction was completed on June 12 of this year. This final change order is reconciling unused bid items and will compensate the contractor for extra work due to unforeseen conditions. A total of 35 change orders were issued for $115,700, and approval of this board report will authorize the city engineer to issue final change order for a deduct amount of $634,897. During construction, the project inspector records actual quantity and used bid items and allowance items. At the end of the project, all quantities are reconciled and unused items get deducted from the total contract amount. 20 such items are deducted in this change order. The preliminary change order number 35 adjusts bid quantities and provides final settlement to the contractor for the work under this contract. This change order does not include any administrative or procedural items from Bureau of Contract Administration. Typically, a final acceptance report will be followed which addresses those items. There is no impact to general fund because project was funded by Sure's Green Bond Fund. This concludes my report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? I don't have any questions. I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 2, seconded by Commissioner Garcia. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 2. Thank you, Mr. Augment. Any issue sending number 2 forthwith? We'll send number 2 forthwith. Dr. Campos, we are clear except for one oral report, which we'll do at the end, and agenda item number 3. And then I know I have an item to potentially recall from Friday, just for clarification on the record, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I'll do the recall item after we finish agenda item number 3, just because I don't want to keep folks here for that discussion unless they want to be. Let me call number 3, tree removal 444 East Universal Hollywood Drive. Recommending that the board first find under the California Public Resources Code, Section 21166, and the state's Environmental Quality Act Guidelines, Section 15162, on the basis of substantial evidence contained in the whole record, that since the city's prior certification of environmental impact report, the EIR number is in the agenda notice, I will call it the EIR, there have been no changes to the project, changes with respect to the circumstances under which the project is being undertaken, or new information of substantial importance concerning the project, which caused new significant environmental effects, or a substantial increase in the severity of previously identified significant effects, and therefore no subsequent EIR, supplemental EIR, or other analysis is required for the project. Secondly, specify that Street Services Streets LA Urban Forestry Division, located at 1149 South Broadway, is custodian of the documents or other material that constitute the record of proceedings upon which the board's decision is based. And third, review and approve the request for a fee permit to remove 112 trees, which include 63 California black walnut trees and 49 coast live oak trees. Tree replacements are required. We have our representative from Streets LA here this morning, and we also have a representative from the applicant who will speak as well if we have any questions, which we may, and then we have one speaker card which we'll get to as well. So Mr. Banuelos, we will start with you, and we will want to hear from Universal regarding just a summary of the project that's not covered by what Mr. Banuelos tells us. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, good morning, President James, Commissioners, Bureau Representatives, City Attorney Dr. Campos. Hector Banuelos with the Streets LA Urban Forestry Division. What we have before us is a request to remove 112 protective trees, which include 44 coast live oaks and 63 Southern California black walnuts. For construction
I'm sorry, Mr. Banuelos. The number of coast live oaks is 44 or 49?
49.
49. Okay, go ahead. I just thought I heard 44. Go ahead.
Okay. Yes. The NBC Universal Evolution Plan, the owners, or owner representative, are proposing the construction of a approximately 2 million square foot commercial development, which includes the construction of a 500-unit hotel complex and related hotel facilities. For the record, there was an alternative within the environmental impact report that where they were not going to be constructing 3,000 or 2,937 dwelling units as part of the project. So that part of the element of the construction is not going to be occurring on this project. However, they are constructing the hotel, which consists of approximately 500 rooms on the project. In order to construct the project, there are required to do grading and other construction activities, which is going to severely impact the 112 protected trees on this property. It has steep to moderate topography, which is going to have to do a lot of grading and a lot of activity, which is going to, if the trees are even to remain, they're going to be impacted by all the activity, would most likely fail. So with that, we are requesting that the board review and approve the request for 112 protected trees. And if approved, the applicant will plant approximately 448 protected trees, which include the 196 24-inch box-sized coast live oaks and 252 15-gallon or as large a container size available black walnuts on the property and the adjacent land. There's adjacent land within the properties of NBC Universal that can accommodate the majority of the replacement trees. It's right in the general area, and we determined that it is acceptable for the tree replacements. The City Department of City Planning did produce and review and approve an environmental impact report for the project, and the Streets LA did review the environmental impact report and agree that the tree removals are properly addressed within the context of the environmental impact report. The 4th Council District Office, the Community Forestry Advisory Committee, and the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment were notified of the tree removal permit request. There was some concern, we were made of some concern regarding the project through Council District 4, and I'm not sure if they are either opposed or in support of the project at this time. Any questions?
So I don't think I have a question for you yet, Hector. I would like to hear, you may, to the extent, you may know, but from NBC Universal, the applicant, I've got a speaker card from Joy Forbes. And Ms. Forbes, if you could come forward and talk a bit about the project, the amount of outreach that was done, to the adjacent property area, and communication with neighborhood councils, communication with the council office. I know that this has been on our Streets LA radar for some time, and the reason we're having the hearing date now is because of additional work that was being done by the applicant to work with the community, given the large number of trees being removed, as well as the tree replacement plan and things like that.
Thank you, Mr. President, Commissioners of the Board. My name is Joy Forbes, Vice President for Planning and Development at NBC Universal. I wanted to first show you, this was the conceptual plan that was approved by both the County of LA and City of LA in 2013. We have a over 390-acre property. About 85% is in unincorporated county, and the remaining is in LA. So you can see there's lots of development that Mr. Banuelos brought up that's permitted on all of this site over a long-range master plan. And the site in particular, thank you, Christina, is that site. So this was identified. There's a big blue box on it. That site was identified. Yes.
Ma'am, could you just turn around for a moment and just point out the site that you just showed us so that they see the same thing that we were seeing? Okay, great. Go ahead. Yes,
great. And so that site was intended for a studio build out, in this case, an office building. And that's the site for the trees. So and then pull the tree So in terms of the outreach that we've done, we have quarterly meetings with our neighbors there are 6 adjacent homeowners groups, and we meet with them on a quarterly basis. We discuss this project with them. In addition to that, when the project was announced, this office building on this particular site, which is a portion of our already approved master plan, we notified the neighborhood council. We actually met at the neighborhood council meeting on Wednesday. There were no objections stated to the tree removals at that meeting. There was lots of questions about all kinds of other stuff on the property, but nothing about trees. And then we also reached out to Studio City Neighborhood Council, Toluca Lake Neighborhood Council. So even though we don't sit in those, we're immediately adjacent to those. And so we reached out to those homeowners groups as well. One homeowners group, the Cahuenga Pass Property Owners Association, actually asked us to present the project and the discussion about the trees at their board meeting, and we did that. Mr. Banuelos also mentioned that the 448 replacement trees would be located in an adjacent parcel. I wanted to point out it is on that 391-acre parcel, some of it in the city of LA, some in unincorporated county.
But just so the record's clear, the replacement trees, even though some are in the city of LA, some are in unincorporated county, they are still on the...
They're on site.
On site.
That's right. We would call it on the lot.
Thank you.
And this is the site as it exists today, in one of the corners of our property. And our landscape architects did a rendering of what it would look like at year 1 of planting on that site, and then year 10 of planting on that site.
Wow, that's year 10?
Yes.
Okay.
We expect it to reach full maturity. Our certified arborist is here if you have any questions for him, but we expect it to reach full maturity at 30 years. In much different condition than the trees that exist on property now. They're in a woodlands area that remain virtually untouched by human intervention because of the topography and location, and some of them, of course, have faced stress because of drought, but some of them have the incorrect branch architecture, so the arborist deemed them not suitable for transfer and relocation, so that's why we are simply replacing at the 4-to-1 ratio. Mr. President.
Thank you, Ms. Forbes. Any questions from Ms. Forbes before we move to our speaker? Okay, and then we may have some additional questions, so I know you all won't go far. And thank you for having your arborist here as well. Casey Madrin.
Good morning. My name is Casey Madden. I represent United Neighborhoods for Los Angeles. I'm here to speak against the removal of these protected trees, or so-called protected trees. It's interesting how in the city of LA, when it comes to a choice between trees and development, the trees always lose, which means the people of LA always lose. I want to point out that since the EIR was adopted, there have been significant changes to the environmental context in the city of Los Angeles. In April 2017, the Los Angeles Times ran an article where it quoted Greg McPherson of the U.S. Forest Service saying, "We are currently witnessing an unprecedented die-off of trees in Southern California. The main reason for this right now is the shot-hole borer beetle, to which we're losing tens of thousands of trees. We've also lost thousands of trees due to recent fires, and we're losing thousands of trees due to development. Also, since the approval of the EIR, the city of LA has gone through a severe drought, which lasted 7 years. It only officially ended in March of this year. The California's 4th climate assessment says that by 2050, we will see a 2/3 reduction in the snowpack that is vital to supplying our water resources. Therefore, the environmental context has changed significantly since the EIR was adopted. A supplemental EIR is required in order to assess the impacts in the current context of LA's environment. I hear people from the city of LA all the time talking about how trees bring temperatures down, how they degrade, improve air quality, how they improve groundwater recharge, but we keep cutting down trees. We do it over and over again. And the replacement trees that Universal plans on planting will take decades, as the woman said, take decades to replace the kind of tree canopy that we're currently seeing from the existing trees on the lot. So a supplemental EIR is required. I urge you to not approve this item.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Forbes, either yourself or the your arborist, regarding the 112 trees that are being taken out, the replacement numbers are 448. Okay. That's the 4-to-1 that's required by the city's mitigation policy regarding protected trees, correct?
Yes, the city's policy.
And did your arborist make a determination, and I guess my first question on this is for Mr. Banuelos, any determination regarding the health of the existing trees that are slated for removal? And I realize we're talking about 112 of them, so they're going to vary potentially at some point, but just Hector, either for you or for the arborist, just some information for the record on that. And sir, you can step forward if you'd like. Just please identify yourself for the record.
Good morning, Board. My name is Noah Stam. I'm an ISA certified arborist with DUDEC, and we conducted the tree inventory back in 2018, June 2018, and again in December 2018. And speaking in terms of the health of the tree, there was 140 trees that were inventoried, 28 of which were considered dead at the time.
Already considered dead?
Correct, yes,
Okay.
sir. Which left the 112, 63 walnut and the 49 coast live oak. Of those trees, about 75% of them were considered fair to poor health due to the recent 5-year drought that had occurred. And of those 112 trees, the majority of them are smaller trees, with about 75% of them being within the size of 11 to 20 inches in diameter, which is smaller than what a mature oak tree or walnut tree would be considered. Mature height for a coast live oak tree would be between 50 and 70 feet. The tallest tree that we really had in this area was about 40 feet, and there was only about 5 or 6 of those. And same for the walnut. Walnuts grow much larger, but a lot of these walnuts were in significantly bad health and did not, were not able to be saved if were asked to be relocated. So.
Okay. And regarding the trees, the replacement trees, and the estimate evaluation, what word am I looking for? Prognosis, rendering of what the trees are going to look like in a year and then 10 years. That's with maintenance of the trees by NBC Universal for the entire time, correct?
Correct. And we also hire the certified arborist to monitor the trees for 7 years, which is in excess of the city standard.
Right. I was going to say that's well in excess of the city's standards. It's more than twice the city's standard. Not saying that we shouldn't reconsider our city standard, but we certainly appreciate that. Okay, and then Ms. Forbes, another question I have. You referenced a number of the community meetings that you had. Do you remember the name of were they all the adjacent community associations?
That's correct.
Okay, and you went a bit beyond the boundaries of the adjacent neighborhood council areas by going into Studio City Neighborhood Council and some others as well?
Yes, we spoke to the president, vice president of both Studio City Neighborhood Council and Greater Toluca Lake Neighborhood Council. But we sit in Hollywood Hills West Neighborhood Council, so we actually attended their meeting on Wednesday.
Right. And they all knew about the hearing today, correct?
Correct. And I will note CD4 is in the audience today, and they can attest to the notification that they did to various residents who had questions.
I'm aware they're here as well. So, all right. Any other questions? I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 3 and seconded by Commissioner Caloza. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 3. Any issue saying number 3 forthwith? We'll send number 3 forthwith. I would mention to Universal, we appreciate the increased canopy. The increase in canopy is something that is, as you know, very important to the city. It's something we want to see really across the board. We do recognize, though, when we have some tree removals, we have some catching up to do, as our speaker, although he may have left, as our speaker referenced. And that is something that is of critical importance to the city, and we appreciate your partnership in that as well. So that'll be the item on agenda item number 3. Dr. Camp, and we're forthwith on that, correct?
That is correct.
All right, thank you. We have an agenda item to recall. Did we find out Mr. Jordan, did you find the agenda item for us? This was on the issue last meeting on Wednesday where we were using our federal guidelines for our business inclusion calculation, even though it was a project that did not yet have federal funding. So, Mr. Jordan, you want to recall that item for us?
Well, it would actually take a motion from any member.
Well, that would be my motion.
It would be a motion.
But you have the specific information on the agenda item
Yes.
number?
So if you wish, you were referencing item number 14 from the agenda of Wednesday, October 17th. Any member of the board that was at that meeting and voted for it may make a motion to reconsider, and if the board votes in favor of that motion, then the item is immediately recalled back to the board and is subject to reconsideration.
Okay, so
you'll need to make a motion.
Yes, that would be my motion then. Is there a second? So let me tell you the basis for my motion.
For the record,
We'll identify that motion.
just for the record, it's for Wednesday, October 16th, item number 14, which is a request for authority to revise the task order solicitation number 2 to David Evans and Associates, contract number C-124882 from the pre-qualified on-call consultants list to provide design support services for the Soto Street widening from Multnomah Street to Mission Road project, work order number E700320D.
And colleagues, the only reason I'm recalling this is not to change our action at all. The only reason I'm recalling it is just to make the record clear that the action that we took after we asked the city attorney's office to look at it, that the action that we took was legal and we could do it. Because we left that as a question when we didn't send it forthwith on Wednesday. And so I wanted Mr. Jordan to be able to clear it up on the record today. And to do that, the way to do that is to recall it. So that's why I wanted to recall it. I'm not seeking to change or overturn or reverse the action that we took on Wednesday. So, Mr. Jordan, do I have a second on recalling the item? So, Commissioner Garcia, any objection? So without objection, we can recall the item and discuss it. Mr. Jordan, you'll set us clear on what the board was able to do on Wednesday.
Yes, so following the board's meeting on Wednesday, we did discuss the matter with both Bureau of Engineering and Bureau of Contract Administration. We are comfortable with the action that the board took on Wednesday. No amendment is necessary. The project as a whole is both the design phase and the construction phase, and the Bureau anticipates there will be federal funding on the construction phase. So pursuant to the applicable guidelines that we follow when choosing to use the DBE method, the guidelines would suggest that it's appropriate to use the DBE rules for the design phase when it is anticipated that the construction phase will be federally funded in whole or in part. So the bottom line is everything was good in the action the board took on Wednesday.
Great. So thank you then. Given that we don't need to take any further action, so what do I need to do right now just to...
The item is now before the board for reconsideration.
Okay.
That has been approved, so the item is now ready for a new vote. Otherwise,
So if I don't want to change, Mr. Jordan, if I don't want to change what happened, so we just deny the reconsideration now?
No.
The item has been reconsidered.
Oh.
That motion was passed, so now you need to take a vote and essentially reapprove the item.
Okay, so that would be my vote, my motion to reapprove the item. Seconded by Commissioners Garcia and Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we will do so. Thank you, sir. And we can send that forthwith today, right? Yes. So now, Ms. Lau, you can move forward at the end of the meeting today with what you need to do. So we've cleared voting items this morning, correct?
With the exception of the minutes, approval of the minutes for...
That's right, from October 7th, 2019. Is there a second to my motion that we approve the meeting minutes? By Commissioner Garcia. Any objection? Without objection, we'll approve those meeting minutes. That takes us to our oral report this morning from Streets LA, our status update on major upcoming street improvement projects from Street Services. Mr. Becerra, how are you, sir?
Good, how are you today?
Welcome back. Good.
Thank you. Good morning, President James, Commissioners, Bureau Representative, City Attorney, and Executive Secretary. My name is Antonio Becerra Jr., Superintendent with Streets LA. In order to keep the public informed on the upcoming resurfacing projects and to minimize the impact on the community as well as the delays to the commuters, Streets LA would like to provide you with an update on all major street improvement projects. The following projects are scheduled as follows. In the Metro Resurfacing region, tomorrow, Saturday, October 19th, 2019, and Sunday, October 20th, 2019, from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., we will cold mill and pave Venice Boulevard from Convention Center Drive to Valencia Street in Council District 1 in the Pico Union Neighborhood Council. Funding for this project is Complete Streets Program SB1. Next weekend, Saturday, October 26, 2019, and Sunday, October 27, 2019, from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., we will cold mill and pave Main Street from 7th to 11th Street in Council District 14, Downtown Neighborhood Council. Funding for this project is our Pavement Preservation Program, or PPP. In the Valley region, tomorrow, Saturday, October 19th, 2019, from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., we will pave Chandler Boulevard North Roadway from Woodman Avenue to Van Nuys Boulevard in Council District 4, Sherman Oaks Neighborhood Council. Funding for this project is Pavement Preservation Program, again, our PPP. Next weekend, Saturday, October 26, 2019, and Sunday, October 27, 2019, from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., we will cold mill and pave Osborne Street from Laurel Canyon Boulevard to Golden State Freeway in Council District 7, Pacoima Neighborhood Council, and continuing on from Osborne, on Osborne from the Golden State Freeway to Arleta Avenue in Council District 6, Arleta Neighborhood Council. Funding for this project is a PPP as well. The press releases were broadcasted, work notifications have been issued, and Streets LA has coordinated with the Council District offices to assist with the outreach to the stakeholders. We have also coordinated with the Los Angeles Department of Transportation for traffic control assistance. This concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Becerra. Any questions on the update from Streets LA? As always, everyone appreciates it, including the entertainment industry, so thank you very much. The oral report will be received. Dr. Campos, have we cleared the desk?
Yes, you have.
Then we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice weekend. Oh, with the exception of the management meeting, we are going to have that. We have a new commissioner here, so that'll take place now in the conference room.